Hey everybody, and welcome to OMG Craft. One of my favorite things to do in the game is to go and search through the end to find in cities, because you get so much loot. You get shulker shells, which will eventually make shulker boxes, which is the portable type of chest in the game. You get Elytra, which allows you to fly and move super duper fast. Just in cities have so much loot. So I have compiled a list of things that I feel like are essentials to know if you are going to go to the end, search through some in cities to get that amazing loot. And Waffles approves. So here we are inside of my Minecraft realm, and we have already defeated the dragons. We have the dragon egg, we have the end portal, the portal to get back to the overworld, and we should have around here some gateways, if I could spot them. There we are, a gateway in order to head to the islands that are in the end to actually go and find some end cities. So if we are going to go and search through some end cities for hopefully some Elytra and other loot, then we need to prepare ourselves. So before you even go through a gateway, here are a few things. I just remembered one. Let me grab it. There we go. Just gave myself one, a trapdoor. So here are some of the things that you need to make sure that you bring along with you. Obviously, armor that has some good enchantments on it. Specifically, feather falling is something that you're really going to need. Other than that, everything else can just be basic. As much protection as you can have, the more, the better, and unbreaking to make sure that your armor just doesn't break over time. Then, general good weapons. So I happen to have a sharpness 5 sword, but whatever sharpness you can get. A bow. This bow has infinity, so I don't need to bring a ton of arrows with me. But really, all of this is pretty just standard equipment. Some of the things that are other than the normal equipment that you're going to want to make sure to bring is a ton of food. Yes, I have 2 stacks of steak here. You may not need this much, but one of my biggest tips is going to be consuming as much food as you can to get your hearts up and for them to stay up whenever you are exploring an end city. So lots of food is something you should definitely remember to bring. Also, lots of blocks, because in the early game of looking around the end, you're not going to have Elytra, so you're going to need to you're going to need to bridge from one island to the next. This may not even be enough blocks. If you need more blocks, of course, you can harvest them, so make sure that your pick has some good durability on it. Next is an ender chest. If you want to leave the end, but cannot find a portal to get out, and you search forever, last ditch situation is going to put all your things in an ender chest and then jump into the void if you can't get home. So bring an ender chest with you so that at least your inventory will not be lost if you have to exit the end that way. A potion of slow falling is really nice, because eventually when we get to the end cities, there's going to be shulkers that give you levitation. There's lots of ways to die from falling in the end, so slow falling potions are really nice. How do you brew these? You need the membrane of the phantom in a normal brewing situation. That'll get you the first level of slow falling, and then this is the extended longer version of slow falling, so you just make that a longer potion. There's plenty of potion tutorials on how to do that. And then finally, a trap door. And the reason that we want a trap door is because as we go through this, and also I forgot to mention, ender pearls that will help you I have a whole bunch of tips for ender pearls, so just bring ender pearls and a water bucket. Hi, this is Chad from the future. There's a few things that I forgot to mention. One is oak planks. The reason you want oak planks is so that you can craft crafting tables, and then also you can craft chests. So later on, when you get shulker shells, you can change those shells into shulker boxes and expand your storage as you're going through end cities. The other thing that you're going to want to make sure to bring is either gunpowder and paper, or go ahead and craft these into firework rockets with, I prefer the duration of 1. I would suggest a few stacks of these, because you're going to want to go exploring once you find your first pair of Elytra. If you happen to have the ability to add enchantments as well, take an anvil and at least a mending and an unbreaking enchantment that you can throw on your first pair of Elytra if you want to make sure to immediately enchant the Elytra that you find. So bring that Unbreaking 3 book and that Mending book and an anvil in order to add them to the Elytra once you get it. If you have a mean Enderman that keeps attacking you, a water bucket can be super useful because you can put it down, especially if you're in a big open area like this where the water isn't going to immediately flow to an edge, and it will create a large area for you to be able to stand in, and Enderman will not be able to get to you. If you put water down next to an edge, it will try the path of least resistance to start flowing. So if you are trying to escape an Enderman, you put down some water right there, it's going to go to the edge only and then fall over. So you need to make sure that you're a few blocks away from any edge, and then it'll make sure to spread out. Otherwise, you may just place it down, and you're not going to have enough room to really stay safe there. And if it continues on, so like in this situation, if you put it here, it would fall and then go over to that edge. So you sort of have enough space, but if you're unlucky, you're just going to be unlucky, and that is like this situation. That's not enough to actually save yourself from an Enderman. So let's use this trap door. We are going to use some of the blocks that we got to make a nice stairway up to the top of our gateway right here. And it's going to take a whole bunch of blocks, so we're just going to keep doing it. There we go. Okay, so we have a very unsafe platform to hang out here next to this gateway. Normally, what you do is you take an ender pearl and you throw it directly through that portal. That will teleport you to the other side of the end dimension. That will be where there's a whole bunch of islands, not just this one massive island where you fight the dragon. That's sort of the next step when it comes to the end dimension. But if you don't want to use up your ender pearls, there's a nice little tip, which is, I unfortunately did this a little bit wrong. You take a trap door and you set it onto that block. You can look at the bottom edge of that block to make sure that it places correctly. And then if you open the trap door, you will be in crawling mode. And now you can actually just crawl through that portal and you'll be teleported to the other side. Do not walk once you teleport to the other side, because the game will always put you on the edge of a block. And so if you make yourself a platform all around this, it'll teleport you to the tallest portion of that, but always directly at an edge. So that's not very fun. The moment that you teleport through, make sure that you take your coordinates. So right here, I'm going to open up F3, hit F2 to take a screenshot and close my coordinates again. And now the hunt is on to find an end city. So when it comes to searching for an end city, I'm going to say this next tip, and I'm going to tell you, take it with a grain of salt, because I have not seen this 100% confirmed. This could just be an urban legend, but I have a whole bunch of friends that swear by this tip. And that is that end cities tend to spawn in a line, generally in a line, within like 100 to 300 blocks of each other in a single direction. And this is also the same sort of urban legend tip that is true about nether fortresses. So if we hit F3, you can see right now we're looking east. So this is the east-west direction. And then we have the north-south direction. So the bit of advice is that end cities and nether fortresses spawn in a line going north to south. Okay, so that would be your Z axis right here. So, and let me just go ahead and put down some blocks like this. So if they are spawning in a line in either of these directions, so I'm going to make a crummy arrow right here, in either of these directions, then you may think, okay, well, if I look in either direction, that is the way that I should go. Well, what you should actually do is, because they're spawning in these directions here, you'll actually want to go east and west so that you can run into one eventually. Because if they are spawning in a cluster in these directions and you're not at one currently, then you're going to walk forever this way, and there aren't going to be any spawning because you're basically in the middle of a vertical line. Because you could imagine if this is one line going north to south and this is another line going north to south and you happen to be over here, you're going to walk forever without accidentally bumping into an end city. So you should start your search. And once again, take this with a grain of salt. I'm not 100% positive about this, especially this is also on the Java edition, maybe different for the Bedrock edition, but start your search going east and west. And that way you will eventually bump into one of the end cities. Once you finally find an end city going east to west, then change your search to go north or south, and then you will bump into more because theoretically they will summon and spawn on that same access. So we are going to start our search trying to go east to west to bump into an end city. Now, when you come to a portion where there is no moving forward. So right here, I've gone east to west. There's nothing in that direction, so I'm going to have to move on to a different island. It doesn't really matter if you go a little bit north or a little bit south in your search. All of that is random anyway, so that doesn't really matter. So when it comes time to making your bridge across, obviously hold down shift, otherwise you may bump off and fall off into the void. But the other tip that I have for you is instead of creating your bridge in a fashion where you are making it perpendicular to your body, so you can see that the bottom edge of that block is the same sort of angle as my back is, make this purposely on a 45-degree angle, and for whatever reason, you will actually put down blocks faster. So you can see how quickly I'm just holding down, I'm using WASD. So I'm holding the A and S key down, but you place blocks faster than if I was just holding down the S key, which is the backwards key. So you can see that. And so I don't know why, but if you put down blocks at an angle, then you will go a lot faster. The other tip that I will want to give you, which I've already done twice while just talking to you guys, is to use your pick block key. So on Java Edition, that would be your middle mouse button. But you can set that to be anything. And what this allows you to do is if you look at a block and you click that key, whatever block that is, you will switch to that block. And this is really powerful in creative mode because even if you don't have that block in your inventory at all, it will automatically select that block for you, overriding the current block that you have selected. But if you're in survival mode and you happen to have that block somewhere in your inventory and you pick it, it will take the spot of that area. So if I also had something like this, my potion of slow falling, and I picked a block, you can see that they switched out, and the slow falling potion is somewhere else in my inventory. It's in that or other place. So instead of moving back onto the block, hitting your inventory, grabbing a block slowly and placing it into the open slot, use your pick block key to quickly and easily get to the block that you're using as your bridge. And as you can see, I told you guys to bring lots and lots of blocks. I've only created a single bridge from one island to another, and I've already used almost 4 stacks of blocks. So make sure you bring lots and lots of blocks. Of course, you're in an area with tons of blocks, so you can always just mine these up to have more in your inventory. And same thing with ender pearls. If you ever run low on ender pearls, you can harvest those endermen. My suggestion for that is to create a little haven for yourself. So endermen are 3 blocks tall. So if you make a 2-block tall area for you to hang out in, they will not be able to get to you. So I normally pop up here. You stare at an enderman, get them mad, then they head towards you, and you can get underneath your overhang, and they will chill out right here in this area, eventually. There we go. And you can stay relatively far away from them as you kill them. This Sharpness 5 sword is amazing at killing endermen. So you can harvest all of your ender pearls that way if you need to get ender pearls. And my final tip for traversing over these large areas is if you can, I don't think I can right here, so I'm going to go ahead and pillar up here. If you can, use ender pearls to get from one area to the next. That'll just make things very, very simple. And before you try that, I'm going to go ahead and take my potion of slow falling here, just in case I accidentally clip the edge of the island instead of the front portion of it. Yeah, see, I don't even have... I can't even reach because we don't got that space. Oh, well, look, I didn't even use my own tip here. I'm supposed to be putting down blocks, doing a pick block technique here. But if you want to, you can sort of skip needing to build all of these bridges here by using an ender pearl instead if you are low on blocks. So here we go. Now I'm much closer. I could just use an ender pearl. I can ender pearl over to that island. There we go. It's terrifying. That is so terrifying. No matter how many times I do it, it's terrifying. And I'm recording it. Can you imagine if I died? Oh my gosh, that'd be bad. Once again, keep that east-west direction in your mind so that you can find that first in-city. Aha! I have found an in-city. And am I going to get lucky? Am I going to get lucky? What you are looking for, if your main goal is to find Elytra, is the floating ship, the thing that looks like a boat, and that should be floating in the air. That is the only place that Elytra will spawn, and it looks like this in-city, unless there's something over here on the other side that I'm not seeing. This in-city does not have any Elytra. That is a bummer. Oh, man. Okay, so that is a bummer. So let's cover some generalized things. Whenever you find an in-city, there will always be an entrance, just like this, with shulkers at the front. These two shulkers have started to fight each other, so that kind of makes my job a little bit easier. Having the potion of slow fall. Oh, I have strength on. I just remember. So in my worlds, a lot of times I will have strength applied to myself, even in creative mode, so I can quickly and easily kill mobs. I was wondering why everything was a one-hit kill. Well, I'm just keep that on, okay? So I have incredible strength at the moment, more than any player should. So I forgot all about that I had that enabled. There we go, bam. So this will actually, let's remove that 1 second. Okay, we are clearing all of the effects on me, so I'm not completely overpowered. So let's go in and kind of explore this area. Shulkers, they open up, and you want to attack them when their shells are open. That will mean that you are dealing the most amount of damage that you can. On these type of ways upwards into the top here, you're supposed to do some parkour and jump around, but if you don't want to do parkour, you can place a block on the edge of this ladder right here near the first of the half slabs, and then you can place a block in every corner, and you'll be able to walk up the edge instead of needing to jump every single time. So we have some shulkers here, and so let's actually show what it looks like when you fight them. Anytime you can, keep a ceiling above the player, wait for them to open up, and then hit them with your attack. If you start to levitate like me, try to get your head underneath a ceiling, and you can still move, even though it's not quite as, like, you don't have as much traction as you normally do, unless, you know, because you're floating in the air, but you still can move around just a little bit slower here. And I tend to basically ignore the projectiles, unless if I don't already have levitation on, then I will not worry too much about those projectiles. Obviously, you don't want to leave shulker boxes just sitting on the edge right here. You want to make sure to collect as many of those as possible. It looked like there may be a shulker on the edge of this building. I thought I saw one of those projectiles pop through on the other side, but it looks like maybe I didn't. So right here, I don't want to deal with any of this parkour, so we're going to put a block there and there. We're going to jump over here onto that ladder and continue, whoops, up this staircase to our next shulkers. There'll always be a shulker so at the very, very top of those. Also, make sure that you get your end rods. Those can be broken without a tool, so you can just walk up to them and punch them if you would like. And continue on. The one thing that you have to keep your eye on is health, and your food will help you with this. So in this type of situation where there's lots of shulkers, I know that I'm going to get hit with at least one projectile, so not a big deal at all. I'll just let myself continuously get hit, and you can see that my hunger is down already, and I'm purposely not eating anything because once you start to get damage over and over again, by the way, bring your bow. Whenever they're far away and you can't reach them, this is when you switch to your bow and just get rid of them that way. And then eventually wait for the levitation to go away. So if my food is down and my hearts are all the way up, I will actually not consume my food, because the moment that you consume food, all that saturation will go into regenerating your heart. So it's actually an advantage to you to keep your food low if you have full hearts. That way, once you take some heart damage, you can eat that food and get all of that back. So here we are in another situation where we have those silly stairs that I don't want to deal with. So we're just going to run and jump over here. A little bit of parkour to get up this area. And once again, this is before we've even found any Elytra. So we are just dealing with this in city as if we really just want the shulker boxes. And I mean, that is not something to wag a finger out. The shulker boxes are incredible. So far everything has been going pretty good for me, and things haven't been getting too out of hand. But let's assume that they do. You find yourself in a situation where you are being pelted over and over by these projectiles, and you're got into a place where you think you're going to die due to fall damage. First off is to use ender pearls, because as you start to fall, your ender pearls will fall faster than you do, and so if you throw an ender pearl out the ground, you'll take a tiny amount of fall damage, but not a complete amount of fall damage. You won't take all the fall damage in the world. And the second option, if you don't have ender pearls, is hopefully you have grabbed 1 or 2 chorus fruit. So normally when I start running low on ender pearls, I'll make sure to grab chorus fruit, because you can do the same thing with chorus fruit that you can with ender pearls. So I'm going to take this projectile here, and I don't think there's going to be any others. So we're going to use our imagination like I'm really high off the ground. If you use your chorus fruit, it'll teleport you close to the ground randomly, somewhere along the ground randomly. It'll teleport, of course, fruit, if you didn't know, whenever you eat it, it'll teleport you somewhere. But the advantage of this is that it'll always teleport you to the ground somewhere. So if you're floating way up in the air and you eat some chorus fruit, it will teleport you to another location on the ground. And that way you can basically stop that fall damage from absolutely killing you. The cool thing about chorus fruit is that you can eat it even if your hunger is all the way full. So you can see that I have full hunger right now, and you can eat chorus fruit, and it doesn't stop you if you, so a lot of other foods, you have to be hungry in order to eat it. So chorus fruit, that is not the issue. Now that I have basically looted, not really, I haven't really gotten everything, but basically looted this area, now we are going to go north and south to look for another in-city, and hopefully, just like with the nether fortresses, they will spawn in greater numbers heading north to south. So let's check out to see if this actually works. So we have found another in-city, and so we will get Elytra on this one, because that little bridge there with that little, there we go, just hadn't loaded in yet. That is the Elytra. So this will change up basically the entire game now that we have our Elytra. So I find that the easiest way to get up to these boats is to basically ignore the entire city and walk directly underneath the boat and just pillar up, just completely new pillar up, and ignore everything else that is going on, because I want the Elytra so bad that I was just like, you know what? I don't care. I just do not care that this is like a new pillar up to the top. So that is what we're going to do in order to get this pair of Elytra. Just like with the bridge technique earlier, if you run out of blocks, use that pick block to get another stack or whatever is in your inventory left of that block. And we should be really close to this thing. Oh, there we are. Like I said, very, very close. So we can put down some blocks and then just dig into the side here and ignore everything else on the top. There will be one shulker here, but there's our Elytra. Ouch. Come on, die. Open up. There we go. Ah! You can attack with their thing closed. Sometimes I do, just because I'm annoyed by them. I'm like, come on, let's go. Once I fall down, I'm gonna go ahead and punch this. Bam! There we go. Our first Elytra. And you can go ahead and put this on your body right now. These chests are always going to be filled with some pretty good stuff, although that's not all that great. Unbreaking efficiency, yeah, some decent, just plain ingots. That's nice. Sometimes they're filled with diamonds, stuff like that. Unbreaking 3, protection 4. That's really not bad. Curse of vanishing. That's not so great. And then horse armor. I'm just going to leave that horse armor. Also, there will always be a brewing stand with 2 instant health 2 potions right here. So those are always really, really nice to get. And the way I always deal with this shulker is to pop that open and just attack him through this area. Oh, that shulker shell fell to the ground. And then there'll be another shulker over here. Sometimes I ignore him depending on how badly I want shulkers. There we go. He died. Okay, perfect. That one shulker shell fell down there. So let's get our ender pearls. And once we start to fall, I'm going to toss an ender pearl down there. Geronimo. There we go. Where's that shulker? There it is. Shulker shell. Perfect. So we have done very good for ourselves so far. I'm going to go ahead and create a crafting table. And we can pop that down. Then we can make, I just need 3 chests. 1, 2, 3. So we'll do that. Then we have our shulker shells that we will turn into shulker boxes. And I kind of love crafting these and then filling them with the loot that I get from within all of the areas here. So now I can put all of my armor and things in there. We can grab another shulker box, put that down, all of the blocks that I've gotten, throw that in there. Oh, we can put some of this stuff in there as well. And now you can use the shulker boxes that you have crafted in order to keep your inventory nice and tidy. Now, when you are ready to leave the end, let's say we have our Elytra, we're super happy. Instead of, using them to fly around, we want to just get the heck... Uh-oh, I looked at an Enderman. Get out of here. So with Endermen, by the way, oh gosh, now I have 2 mad at me. This is great. The issue, these guys are almost always the thing that kills me in the end. You can create a wall, a 2x2 tall sort of situation. If you have an in-city here, you can sort of run up to it and then throw down some blocks. This isn't all that great. You can see that why this might not work in a hairy situation. It does need to be at least 3 wide, so you can stand in that middle block and have a block of protection on either side. You can do that, or you can throw down your water, or you can just try to find some other area, or just turn around and fight them with your sword, although they are pesky, pesky mobs. So, let's say you have found all your stuff and you're ready to leave. The thing that you're going to be looking for is an end gateway, and those will look just like the other end gateways around where you were killing the Ender Dragon. Or you would put all of your stuff into an end chest, an ender chest, and then jump into the void. Or, now that you finally have your Elytra, it's going to be much simpler to look for another end city. So we're going to open this up. We're going to look north and south once again. And it looks like we just got hit with a levitation potion. That's no worry. And we're going to use our rockets to continue to fly on. I find that hitting F5, it makes everything a little bit easier, and sometimes I even hit F3 just to know exactly what's going on. And I don't go too fast because the world always takes a little bit longer to generate, because it is actually generating. It's not just loading. Your computer needs to take the time to actually place all these blocks and generate all these blocks. So I make sure to go a little bit slower. Look at the Enderman on top of that chorus fruit. That's insane. And then I go and search for the next in-city. Now, the disadvantage of this plan is that you don't have any type of enchantments on your Elytra, so it will take durability rather quickly. You need that unbreaking enchantment in order to make sure that the durability doesn't go down too fast. And then, of course, mending, so you don't have to continuously use an anvil to make your Elytra better over time. So a lot of times after I get my first Elytra, I leave. I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. I'm going to put everything in inner chest. I'm going to jump into the void and kill myself. Even though I'm losing 42 levels right here, I would rather have that Elytra than those levels. And so I am just out of here. You could also, if you planned ahead, use those those enchantments, if you have them on a book, put them on an anvil and continue to go. Or now my motivation is to continue to search, but the thing that I'm searching for is an end gateway, that thing that has all of that bedrock around it and that end portal gateway in the middle of it. And so now all I'm doing is searching for an end gateway to get out of here. If I happen to bump into another end city, that's great, but my main goal is to find an end gateway. Another thing to mention about the end gateways is that whenever they summon in, there's a big beacon. There's a purple beacon that will pop up as they generate. So you can keep an eye out for that purple beacon that'll pop out of nowhere, and then you will have a way to get home. Oh my gosh. And here's another city. Does this city have a, doesn't look like it has. You don't have no Elytra? Well, I'm out of here. That's enough for me. I don't need you. I'm telling you, that north-south thing really works. It is the easiest way. So you can see I've only flown for a little while, and I'm already pretty low on durability on these Elytra. And the last thing you want to do is have your Elytra break as you are flying and then fall into the void. That would be horrible, which has happened to me before. Of course, if you're having a heck of a time trying to find the end portal gateway to get out, and you really do not want to jump into the void, you can look at the screenshot that you took earlier of the end portal gateway from where you spawned in, which I have, I did earlier. I showed you to take a screenshot of that, so you can use that to get back as well. There you have it, my list of essential things that you have to bring, do, and craft. I don't know, bring, do, and do again. All the stuff you got to do in order to make your end city searching experience amazing. So I hope that you have found this video useful and enjoyable in your Minecraft journeys. If it is, make sure you give this video a big ol' thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe for future videos, tips, tricks, tutorials, and spotlights here on OMG Craft. And I'll see you next time on OMG Craft. Bye!